John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another model from Thorn. Thorn has come out with some really cool stuff, and I have a previous test that you can see here on my channel of the original Thorn Broadhead. I've also used that in hunting situations. I shot a raccoon with it, and it opened really well, zipped right through it, and I shot a hog with it as well. It performed fairly well on the hog, but now I'm going to be testing the Thorn Rift. Okay, this is their 2.2-inch cut model. The original was a 1.75-inch cut. This is a full 2.2-inch cut. So I'm going to zoom on in here, go through some of the design features and specifications, and then I'm going to put it through all my tests and see how the Rift performs. Here's a good look at the Rift. Now, here it is in the closed position, and as you can see, when it's in the closed position, there are 0 blades exposed. It's the lowest profile broadhead that I know of. They advertise it as the world's most accurate broadhead, and maybe a lot of companies say that. I really believe it with the Thorn. There is just no surface area other than the ferrule itself, and even the ferrule is quite slender. So this flies exactly like a field point. It's probably even better specs than some of the field points that people are using. So at super long range, this thing is extremely accurate. So the way it works is you, when the blades are fully closed like that, you slide in the shear pin, and it comes with a bunch of shear pins to use. You can always buy more, but you slide it in and then you pull it through till it's flush right there. It kind of snaps into place. And then you just take a knife and you cut off this little portion, and then there's none of this exposed, but there's that little piece of rubber. It's like a real lightweight rubber. That little piece of rubber is contained inside the broadhead, and that makes it extremely secure. The blades are not going to slide out of place in flight, even out of a really high-speed crossbow. And so then the way it works is when you shoot it, and I'm not cutting that off because I want to save it, but the way it works when you shoot it is it's closed like this with that shear pin in there. And then when it hits an animal, boom, it forces this rip tip, as they call it, and I'll go through it in a minute, forces it down, forces these blades out, and this little hook area here cuts through the shear pin. And then the pressure of the medium you're shooting at, like an animal, forces the blades fully open there into their 2.2-inch diameter open position. Here you can see the rip tip. It's a titanium tip that's different from every other tip I've seen on the market in that it's not this super pointy tip. Now, obviously, this part is really pointy, but then there's these 3 other prongs. Now, the prongs are pretty pointy, but overall, it offers quite a bit of resistance there. Now, they say it still penetrates really well, but that resistance serves 2 purposes. First, it drives the plunger back to effectively open the blades. And I believe it takes about, 5 to 7 pounds of pressure to cut through the blades, so they open really easily. So that gives enough pressure to push that plunger back and open the blades. And then it also just grabs on tissue, busts through bone, and causes extra damage in and of itself. And then the blades just slide back, like I said, into their open position. And you can see here the butt of the opposing blade. That's how they're held open. A lot of heads have this design, this slip cam type design, like the Rage, the Sever has a similar thing, many other gator heads like that. And that means that area is going to be a little bit more blunt than the rest of the broadhead, but I haven't found that to be an issue in any of these heads in a hunting situation, honestly. So there's the head. That's how it works. One other extra feature that it has is it has this practice washer here. And with the blades fully closed, you just slide this on and snap it over the collar, and that keeps the plunger tip, the rip tip, from sliding back and deploying the blades. And so you can shoot it into a target a bunch of times, and you're not gonna damage the blades or dull the blades at all. Now, I wouldn't shoot it into a bag target, okay, because you're gonna use that rip tip and rip apart your bag, but you wanna shoot it into a foam target when you're practicing like that. When you go into a hunting situation, make sure you take that collar off, okay? If you look down when that deer's walking out and you got a yellow tip and a yellow collar in there, you're in trouble, okay? So make sure you take that yellow collar off before you go hunting. Now I'm going to put it through all the tests that I typically test the broadheads with. I'm going to test it for edge sharpness and edge retention, for penetration, and for durability. I'm not going to show a test for flight because I'm telling you, it flies just like a field point. I've shot it at extremely long range. And again, with no surface area, there's just no question about that. So I don't even test mechanicals for that reason, but this is the best flying of all the mechanicals. So let's see those other tests and see how the Rift performs. Out of the box sharpness. And it's kind of difficult to put this in there because you can't take the blades out. So I'm going to do the best I can here. One stroke of the arrow. Two strokes of the arrow. Three strokes of the arrow. Four strokes of the arrow. Five strokes of the arrow. Barely, but it cut. The Thorn cut paper after 5 strokes of the arrow. The Thorn Rift penetrated 6 inches. Here's the Rift after being shot into the MDF 3 times. Through the first 2 shots, it still looked brand new. It was in perfect shape. And then on the 3rd shot, as you can see, the tip of this blade, where it gets kind of narrow, you can see how it gets narrow there. That's what broke off. It's just a small break, but I had to call it because there was a broken blade there. I did it a 2nd time with another head and got a similar result on the 3rd shot like that. But the ferrule, the other blade, the edge, all in very good shape. Just that break at the tip. So what do you think of the Thorn Rift? Man, I tell you, when it comes to flight, there's no other head that I've ever tested or seen that flies better than this one. I think it flies better than some field points. It just has 0 surface area, and it's just got such tight specifications. I was stacking arrows at 70 yards. I was really impressed. So if you're looking for a head where flight is your most important thing, then the original Thorn or the Thorn Rift are really worth a look for super long range flight, or in a heavy crosswind, or if your bow's not really well tuned or your form is not really great, which we should always work on our form and our bow should be well tuned. But if you want the confidence of just screwing on ahead and knowing it's going to fly just like your field points, then the Thorn, the original Thorn, or the Thorn Rift are really worth a look. Check out the score sheet. You can see how it performed in all the other tests, but flying is really its greatest strength.